So welcome to Drawrobics. My name is Fraser. If you've not met me before, I'm a visual artist based here in Edinburgh, and I work with art and healthcare to deliver various different art activities such as this. We've got a super fun 20-30 minutes of drawing ahead of us. Drawrobics, it's kind of like an exercise class for drawing. It gets us like loosened off, stretched, ready to make our own art. Because just like exercise, if you just jump into these things, sometimes you could be a little bit stiff, and these kind of exercises should help us get us kind of loosened off and stuff like that. So these exercises are used all around the world. They're used in art schools quite regularly. They can feel a little bit they can maybe take us out of our comfort zone, but if I could ask you to just go with us here, we'll get some really interesting results. They're not going to be the prettiest drawings in the world. They might be a little bit wonky, a little bit wavy and all that kind of things, but there's no problem. As far as I'm concerned, that's the way they're meant to be. They're kind of like exercises as well, they kind of try to push you into a new place and make you do different things. And practice is, what do they say? It's not practice is perfect, it's practice is progress, that's it. Practice is progress, and that's kind of what we're away to do here. So, the first things we need to do is we need to get some drawing materials, if you've got them handy. So like pens or pencils, whatever you prefer to draw with. Things like pens and pencils make marks really quickly, which is good. As brushes and things like that are a bit slower, so I would suggest maybe pens and pencils and crayons and things like that are perfect for this. And grab some paper. Look, Hockney's super involved now. Right, so I'll grab some paper and we can get started on our first exercise. Is everyone ready to get just stuck in with this? We're going to move quite quick fire when we get stuck in with this. If you're not ready, just give us a wee comment and we'll just check that just now and we'll give you another wee time. But if you've got all your paper and stuff, we are ready to go. So we're going to do some warm-up drawings, and they're going to be incredibly quick drawings. These are a chance for us to see how quickly time passes when we're drawing, because it's amazing, it can just disappear in a second. So I would grab a piece of paper like this, take it like that. Any paper will do you've got. We don't need special paper. Things from your recycling, the Amazon box that you've just been delivered, for example, you can use whatever you like. And then fold it in half, or if it's quite small, you can fold it in two and use the front and back. And we are going to do 4 separate drawings on this same page here at different times. Okay, so get that ready. You could maybe use something like a book, so you could do this on your couch if you want. You could kind of place this on here and lean and sit down. This is the good thing about this. We can kind of be sitting on the couch as we go. So we're going to do 4 different timed drawings. And now you'll say, oh, what we're going to draw? Whatever you like, whatever's in front of you. This is going to be an observational drawing class, so we're going to draw things that are around us. So for instance, you can't see it, but directly in front of me there's like a TV and a bookcase and a pot of plants and things like that. So that's what I'm going to draw. It doesn't really matter what you draw, it could be anything, but the things that are just around you are just good enough. They're way richer than you might think. Even my pair of curtains over here, there's lots of incredible details and stuff to get stuck into there. So, and the first drawing that we're going to do is going to be a 1-minute drawing. And this is going to give us a sense of how much time we have, how long a minute lasts. It feels very different to how it lasts when you're not drawing. So I'll put this down here for you. Right, I don't know if you can see that screen, but if not, Well, if not, I'll shout it out loud for you. Okay, so I'll just put that there. I'm going to try and do as much drawing as I can with you. So the first section of your paper here, one of these, we're going to do a 1 minute drawing, starting from now. So it's the first time I've stopped speaking since we've switched on. So we're looking to see how time passes while we have this. How long does a minute last when we're drawing? How long does it take us as individuals to draw? Maybe some people are quicker than others. You know, if I've got a minute, how much information can I get into my picture in a minute? What's important information to have and what's not important information? We've got 10 seconds left. See, you don't know this, but I've got a list of notes in case I got stuck here. Just written on the wall. It's a wee secret there. Oh! That's 1 minute. That is our minute up. Now, we're going to use that as a way to kind of judge time. So look at your drawing that you've done. See what kind of things you got in there. What did you manage to get in? And what kind of things were missing. So maybe if you were doing, say, the bird feeder, Room for Art was said, so I presume that's Iona was doing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you got a bit of the cage in, but you didn't quite get some of the seeds in. What we're going to do is we're going to do another drawing, but we're going to half the time. So we're going to go to 30 seconds, which is not very long at all. We're going to go to 30 seconds, and we're going to see if we can get more into our drawing than our initial drawing. Okay, does that make sense? Now, these sometimes can feel a little frustrating, but treat it like a game, like a fun game to try and test yourself to see how far you can get. We're not worried about the drawing, we're just trying to see how much information we can get into our little square within the time. Okay, so we've got 30 seconds starting from 3, 2, 1, go. Well, see, we've already had 10 seconds. How unbelievable is that? We've got 10 seconds left. 5 seconds left. 2 seconds left. Oh, we've got an extra 2 seconds there. Nice one. So the good thing about having it on a folded sheet like this is you can compare your drawings. So you could maybe take a wee note and say, oh, this one was 1 minute. This one was 30 seconds. And you can see how it's changed in the little time that you've got. In some ways, I've managed to get the same amount of things in. You might prefer your quicker drawing to your one where you had double the amount of time. Like, I'm now looking at these two and going like, what did I do with my extra 30 seconds on this one that I didn't do on this one? So we're going to be crueler yet again. I'm sorry about that, but this is part of our exercising and warming up. No pain, no gain. So the next one, 30 seconds, we're going to half it again, and we're going to go to 15 seconds on this one. So we're going to go to 15 seconds. Not long at all. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, go. I'm starting to panic a wee bit. Oh, and just like that, it's up. Can you believe it? So quick. Yeah, it's starting to kind of, if you can see that on mine, but it's starting to like lose information as we go down. So you can guess what's going to happen on this one. We're going to do a 7.5 second one for the last one. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh. See, it's not even time. It's not even long enough to pay attention for, because you get into it and you're like, oh, I'm gone. Oh, I actually quite like my last one. It just looks like a series of scribbles, but it's got a fluidity that I don't have. I'm quite a tight drawer, so maybe I need to always be trying to give myself 7.5 seconds for me. Okay, cool. So we're warmed up. We've got our pen moving. It gives us a sense of, that gave us a sense of seeing what information was important in our time period to put in and what was the kind of information that we should let go. It also got my pen moving really quickly, which is unusual for me. So we are now ready to move on to our first proper exercise. So you're going to need to grab another piece of paper. Or if you've done this, you can use the back if you like. You can use the back. And we're going to use the whole sheet of paper for this. And this one is called telescope. So the first thing I would like you to do on your piece of paper is to draw a circle, maybe about half the size of a fist or something, and draw it anywhere you want on the paper. So I'm going to draw mine, I don't know, I'll draw mine here, right? It doesn't matter if it's a good circle or not, it just needs to be something. So I've got a wee circle on my paper here. Now this is going to be the focus of my telescope. We're going to do a kind of variation of the different time exercise that we had there. And we're going to, for the first half of it, we're going to look at a scene around us. You could change scene or you can do the same one. It's totally up to you. And we're going to focus in on a spot in the room, and anything within that circle, we're going to draw anything that would fall within our telescope, if you imagine it. That's the best way to put it. I'm moving my telescope around. It'd be easier if you could see me, like I'm moving my telescope around, and inside the circle will be that. And we've got 3 minutes to draw what's going to be inside our telescope. Does that all make sense? If you could kind of do like a wee button push or something, maybe a wee thumbs up and stuff, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to presume that it makes sense. So we've got 3 minutes. We're going to take 3 minutes to draw a very detailed drawing of a circle of what would fall under our telescope in here. So we're only going to be drawing inside the circle for this part. Does that make sense? Got 3, 2, 1, and we are starting now. That's Hockney snoring, by the way, in case you're wondering what that noise is. Oh no, he's up. So I'm very lucky. I've got a Jenny Allison sculpture to draw, which is right in front of me. So we've got 20 seconds. Now going from the previous exercise to this exercise, you probably suddenly feel like you've got all the time in the world. You know, you might be finished your circle well quicker than you think. You know, I've got quite a lot of detail into what I'm looking at already, and I'm only 48 seconds in. I wonder how that compares to my normal drawing speed. So because you've got maybe more time, you might be able to include some tone, some things like that. You might be able to put a little bit of shading and things like that. Maybe you've got a spot that doesn't have much in it. You might need to climb into it and see what tiny little details you can see, because we are halfway through here. We are halfway through. So now that I'm halfway through, I've got a bit of time on my hands. I can start putting some more of this shading in. It's got 1 minute to go. "30 seconds left." "10 seconds." I'm going to stop there. We're going to put a pen or pencil up down there. Oh, that was good. You got a wee break from me constantly chatting away there with that little extra time. So I don't know how you felt. Depending on what you were drawing, you might find that you had quite a lot of information in what you chose, and it was quite a lot to draw, and you filled the time. Whereas you might have felt a little bit like what I felt, which was like, oh, after doing a 7.5 second drawing to suddenly having a 3 minute drawing, suddenly felt like I had loads and loads of time on my hands and try to fill it, and I ended up overdrawing maybe more than I would. So you can imagine what we're going to do next. Unfortunately, again, it's just one of these things stretching off. You know, we're not here to make pretty drawings. We're here to loosen off and practice and expand that so that we can kind of get moving and flowing and stuff with our drawing. So we're going to try and then fill the rest of our page with what sits outside our telescope in 1.5 minutes. So half the time that we had for inside our telescope, the focus, we're going to fill the rest of the page with that time. Okay, so we're going to reset that. I'm going to set 1.5 minutes. I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1, start. Now, because we got a lot less time, some of the information that felt important to put in on our previous drawing suddenly might not be as important to get into this, because we're trying to get the whole scene. I've already gone a little bit too tight, so I'm going to loosen off a bit. I've had 1 minute, so we've got 30 seconds left. Have a quick glance down at your paper, see I've got 30 seconds. What is really important in my scene and what haven't I got? Let's see if we can get it in. Okay, great. A few seconds left. Oh, stop there. Great. Nice one. We've done loads of drawings and stuff already. Great. How did you get on with them? Cool. give you a wee little breather, and then we're going to move on to our next one. You know, this would be like on a Joe Wicks, this would be like the 30 seconds in between or something. Maybe I should set that on the timer and give it a real exercise feel. So if you've got that, we're going to move on to the next one. You can either take your piece of paper, turn it around, use the back if you like, or grab a new piece of paper, up to you. You can switch materials if you want. But I always like to note down what I did there. So I might do on mine, I might say 36 inside circle. And then the rest of the stuff, I'll say 1 minute 30, and I'll do a wee note on my piece of paper with that. Because when you come back to look at them, you might be surprised which ones you prefer. I tend to do that with my speed drawings. That maybe on the last one that I did, the 30-second one I prefer. And if I come back to that later, I might not realise that that was the one that had the least amount of time. Okay, cool. So we're ready to go on to the next one. Now, a few of you might have done this one before. This one is going to be our non-dominant hand. And yet again, what we're going to do is we're going to try and use the whole sheet of paper. Now for this one, so far we've been kind of looking at quite complicated scenes. We're going to focus in on one particular object, and we're going to draw that. And we're going to use the hand that we typically do not write or draw with. So for me, that's my left hand. I normally draw with my right hand. I'm going to put this into my left hand. And we're going to have 2 minutes for this. But I think it's easier to focus on one specific object. So in front of me, I'm going to focus on a plant pot, but it's totally up to you what you focus on. I know, I saw that emoji there. It does feel a bit scary. But trust me, it's a very interesting exercise. Let's get started now. Okay, so suddenly, for me anyway, might be different for you, my speed has just immediately slowed down. I'm actually holding my pen in a different way than I normally would, and that's not necessarily through choice. Right? The good thing about this, you'd be like, why on earth would I do this? But actually, what you end up doing is trying to compensate with other parts of your drawing for the lack of dexterity that you might have. So what I mean for that is, I'm actually looking maybe a little bit harder than I would have done because it came so fluidly to me before. And also, because I've got very little control over my movements, I'm really not very, like I'm not ambidextrous in any sense, the imagination. Because I've got less control, I'm trying really carefully plan my movements. So the movements that I make are actually a lot more considered than if I was using my right hand. So I'll give us a wee bit longer on this. We'll go till 2:20. Okay, let's stop there. It's a hard one, right? Oh, it's a difficult one. Oh, but it is really good for kind of like getting a different approach to your drawing. And actually, again, I quite like mine. That's a fair point. How did you find that? That is sometimes, when we've done that one before, that is sometimes people's worst nightmare. They absolutely hate that drawing. All these exercises give you plenty, like you can, there's no pressure on any of these to look a certain way or to look good, because no one can make these look good. And that's what's liberating about them in a way. Okay. So, I'll maybe see about switching up my materials. Maybe start using a little. Maybe I'll use like a really thick pencil or something like that. Or I've got one of these ones, which is like a kind of carpenter's pencil. These are quite good because you can use the side. They're like really big and long, so you can like draw with the side of them. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one, and the next one is going to be a memory drawing. Now, when we draw, what we're often doing is we're looking at something and then drawing on the paper and then looking at something. We're just going to do the looking and the drawing, and we're going to do them separately. Okay, so we're going to do the looking first, and we're going to completely separate it out, and then we're going to do our drawing. And I'll explain this as we go, because it seems like, oh, again, why would you do this? Oh yeah, nice one on the oil pastel. Yeah, nice. I think I needed to switch mine up there as well to something a bit thicker and different, and it's a bit more immediate. So here we go. So in fact, actually, how about you could do this either two ways with the memory drawing. You could either draw something that's in here in my screen and try and remember it, and then I can move it and switch it off. Or you can do this with something that's around you and then turn away from it. But we're going to have 30 seconds, and I'm going to get out the scene. So we're going to have 30 seconds for looking, and then we're going to move away, turn around, and then we're going to do a drawing. Make sense? Okay, so we've got 30 seconds starting from now. Be looking at all the big shapes and all the kind of unusual things you might think might be difficult to remember. So maybe follow the shape of the outline of the shape with your eye and follow it around and see what you can see. I'll give you a wee bit longer. Okay, cool. If you were doing my living room, then unfortunately I'm going to make it even harder for you now. So I'm going to move it down over here so you can't see what's going on. Now, for the next minute and a half, I'll put this here, we're going to try and draw what we remember. Now, I was too busy trying to set stuff up, so I've not actually looked at any in. So I'm going to set this one in. Now, when we're drawing from memory and we don't have it in front of us, we often draw things really simply and find it very difficult to remember certain kinds of things. Now, that's not your fault. That's just the way our minds are built. We have very simple memories in a way to try and store as much information as possible. And some things, it's only doing this exercise do you really, or other similar exercises, can we really find out how simple our memories are, and just how little information there's actually there. Because I don't know about you, but when I remember things, I get a very vivid image in my mind. But then if I was to try and draw that vivid memory, it suddenly starts to just completely collapse. And this is a wee exercise just to show us like how important what is in front of us actually is, and how much more information it has than we think. Okay, cool. Oh, a very difficult one. A really, really difficult one. And this is the same thing that we come to, you know, when we, if you draw people's faces and things, you know, we'll have like, sometimes, most of us have like a bank of things like eyes and noses and mouths, and we've got maybe a few different kinds of shapes and stuff that we remember of them. And then when it comes to do that, we kind of like copy and paste them into place. And when we do something like this, it's really, 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 really hard to remember what you were actually looking at. And there might be some things that you remember really clearly. Like, so I did like a wee plant there, a wee pot plant. And I could remember the shape of the pot really easily. But when it came to something complex, like, and that's because there's loads of pots that look like that. But when it came to the actual plant itself, I was like, oh, no idea what was going on there. Yeah, that's all right. It's a really difficult one not to cheat for, and that's just our instinct, isn't it? It's one of these things where you just go, oh, right, cool, I'll just sneak a wee glance, you know, because you want to do well in your drawing. And that's unfortunate, but it's because, you know, that's just the way we're kind of programmed to do stuff like that. But to get better at drawing, sometimes or to kind of get ready for drawing is one of these things that we need to exercise. And I must admit, I'm the same. I find all these terrifying and difficult. I'm one of those guys that likes to look at like an image right in front of me and basically copy it. So this is maybe as much exercises for me as it is for anyone else, you know. Even the top artists would be finding that this is really, really, really impossible. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one, and this is maybe going to be our last one, because I've been whittling on for 36 minutes already, and this is going to be a continuous line drawing. So this is a good one to show the table for as an example. Now, hopefully you'll be able to see my pencil a bit clearer. This is an 8B, so it should be pretty black. And a continuous line drawing is when we're going to do a drawing of something. Again, it could be anything you like. You could focus on a specific object or a scene. But the one thing we want you to do on this one is to not lift your pencil off of the paper. It should just be stuck to the paper like magnetic, right? And then we're going to build our scene up from these accumulation of lines, right? So I've not taken mine off yet, right? And I'm not going to take it off, right? Just going to build it up like that, yeah? And then what's quite good about this one is as you build it up with this one, we've not really been able to do things like introduce much tone and stuff yet, but you'll be able to like introduce kind of tone and things, and I'll get us drawn in a different way than we maybe normally do. Okay, so we've got a bit longer for this one because this is our last one, so we can be a little bit more relaxed about it. So we're going to have 3.5 minutes for this last continuous drawing, starting from now. Do that. I should have done that ages ago, eh? If you're using something like a pencil, you know, you can use your pressure to like reintroduce darker lines into your thing, or to kind of like, if you want to highlight different bits, or if you want a bit of your line to look stronger than another bit of your line. In fact, see like that, if you make a mistake, you can just move your line. I remember someone saying to me that you should be able to, if you're using something like a pen, you should be able to like bend it out of metal, because the line's all joined up. So we're about halfway through, maybe a little bit longer if you want. It can be hard to, you might just naturally lift your pencil or pen off the page without realising, and just because, you know, we've got those muscle memories for things like that, for drawing. But if you do, don't worry about it, just put it back down and see if you can see how far you can go again without lifting off. So I think, I don't know if I said 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes, but let's have 3.5 minutes. It takes me 10 minutes to make a cup of tea, as people who go to my group can testify. Sorry about that. Cool. We're going to stop there. Oh, nice one. In that short time, we have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 drawings. And you know what? You might never want to look at any of them ever again, and that's okay, because this is about getting fluid and stretched off and getting to the place where if we were to then come and do another drawing, we're fluid and moving and doing all the things in the right way, and we're in a position where we can be relaxed about our drawing, which is one of the key things. It's really hard to be relaxed about these things, especially, you know, when the idea of doing a drawing is that you want to do a really good job, you know. Sometimes that can make it really hard to be relaxed about doing these things as well. So by doing these and putting them over here and going, oh yeah, you know, they were my exercises, gets us in that headspace. What ones do you think it would be great to let us know what you liked about some of those exercises, if there was any you actually enjoyed, or if there's ones that you were like, oh my god, that's terrible. Please never make us do that again. And you could write those comments to let us know exactly what they are. Feel free, if you're brave enough, you could you can share them on the Facebook page if you like, but you absolutely do not have to do any of that either. You know, I probably, you know, like I'll maybe put some of mine up as well so you can see. So, you know, you can see, because some of them were maybe quite difficult to see, is that you can see, like, I've been an artist for a long time, and you know, like, they might, these are the quality of my drawings, do you know what I mean, from these, so, great. Yeah, so feel free to share them. We'll have this video, hopefully, we'll need to check with Iona about this, we'll have this video available to watch whenever you like, so it's not live. You don't have to watch this particular video live, so you can do any of these again if you want. And if there's any information about any of them in particular, I can just write them on the Facebook. I haven't been particularly active on the Facebook group so far because I haven't been using Facebook for a long time, and I'm just getting my head around it again, and it's just back in the deep end with the live video here. Okay, cool. So I think also what I'll maybe do on the next one is maybe I'll reduce my waffle just a wee touch, because I feel like I've spoke through the entire thing. It was a pleasure. I'm going to log off now, but hope you had a good time, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Thanks everyone. Bye.